Bobby Mackey's Music World, Wilder, Kentucky. It's one of those places Americans whisper about when moonlight hits your window, and you want something more than a typical ghost story. Owned by country singer Bobby Mackey since 1978, the venue is a honky-tonk, a nightclub. Wikipedia +1, but what draws people isn't just the music, it's the legends. They call it America's most haunted nightclub. The stories start with what was allegedly once a slaughterhouse on the property, before the bar existed. Blood and death, the argument goes, left an imprint. Some legends claim this site was used for satanic rituals, that there's an in-ground well in the basement where blood drained. That well is sometimes called a portal to hell. Then there's Pearl Bryan. In 1896 she was murdered and beheaded. Her corpse was found in a field near Fort Thomas, Kentucky. Her head was never recovered. Legend has tied her ghost, and sometimes her decapitated head, to Bobby Mackey's basement, or to that well under the building. This is important, no credible historical evidence shows she had any connection to this property. There's also a story of a dancer named Johanna, sometimes spelled Joanna or Joanna. According to law, she was pregnant, her father disapproved, her lover was killed, and in despair she took poison in a dressing room. Her spirit is said to haunt the main floor, her perfume or rose scent marking her presence, lights flickering, faucets turning themselves on, bar stools moving. Haunted tours often point this story out as one reason strange things happen. Now, many of these stories have been debunked or at least not proven after digging into newspaper archives, property records, court files. The lore has grown. Over decades, like many haunted places, tales have been added, embellished, but whether true or not, people report real experiences, voices, sounds, lights flickering, objects moving. Bartenders and caretakers, notably Carl Lawson, have come forward saying they've seen things in the basement, heard footsteps when no one was there, witnessed faucets turn on, or lights switch by themselves. So here's where we really begin. Tonight we explore whether there was ever a real exorcism, or if the hauntings crossed the line. Whether Bobby Mackey's Music World is simply folklore, or something darker, something demonic, hiding behind the neon lights and country songs.
If there's one name tied forever to Bobby Mackey's hauntings, it's Carl Lawson. He lived upstairs in a small apartment inside Bobby Mackey's itself. That meant he was alone in the building after hours, night after night, when the crowds had gone home and the neon lights were dark. And Carl swore the building wasn't empty. He told interviewers about hearing voices calling his name in the middle of the night. He said he'd wake up to shadowy figures standing over his bed. Faucets in the basement turned on by themselves. Doors slammed. He once claimed to have seen the figure of a woman in a long dress walking across the dance floor, vanishing as he chased her. But it got worse. Carl believed the spirits weren't just haunting him, they were trying to possess him. In 1993, author Douglas Hensley wrote a book called Hell, Escaped, Terror at Bobby Mackey's Music World. That book chronicled Carl's claims in detail and included a terrifying section, an actual exorcism. According to Hensley, a group of ministers and spiritual investigators came to Bobby Mackey's to try to help Carl. They believed he was oppressed, maybe even possessed by the forces lurking in the basement. Eyewitnesses say Carl would go into violent fits, his voice changing as if another presence was speaking through him. The exorcism lasted hours. Prayers, holy water, shouting, all in that same basement near the old well that people called the portal to hell. Some say it worked temporarily. Others argue it only angered whatever was inside. And Carl, he later admitted the spirits never truly left him. He described himself as a host for something darker, something he couldn't shake. He died in 2012. But those who knew him still believe he was marked by Bobby Mackey-S forever. Meanwhile, Bobby Mackey himself, he wanted nothing to do with it. A devout skeptic, Mackey dismissed most of the stories as nonsense. He told reporters, "I don't believe in ghosts," though he admitted strange things happened around the bar. Ironically, it's Bobby's wife who claimed to be attacked in the basement, saying she was pushed down the stairs by an unseen force. Carl Lawson's Exorcism remains one of the most famous and chilling pieces of the Bobby Mackey-S legend. It's why many don't just call this nightclub haunted, they call it demonic.
Carl Lawson's story, ISNT, the only one that keeps Bobby Mackey-S in the spotlight. Bartenders have told stories of beer taps turning on by themselves, bottles sliding off shelves, and jukeboxes playing when they weren't plugged in. One famous account says the jukebox started blasting music late at night, even though the power was completely disconnected. Some employees refused to go into the basement at all. That well, the so-called portal to hell, always gave people an overwhelming sense of dread. Visitors have described stepping into the basement and immediately feeling sick, dizzy, or as if someone was pressing on their chest. Paranormal investigators often bring EMF detectors or recorders, and many claim to capture strange voices. One of the most chilling recordings allegedly contains a woman's voice whispering, "Help me." Another caught what sounded like growling, low and animalistic, even though no animals were present. Tour groups sometimes report physical touches. Guests have claimed invisible hands brushed their shoulders or tugged their clothes. Others describe sudden scratches appearing on their arms after leaving the basement. And then there's the story of Bobby Mackey's own wife, Janet. She has said that one day, while in the basement, she felt something grab her, lift her, and throw her down the stairs. After that, she refused to enter the building again. Paranormal shows, from ghost adventures to most terrifying places in America, have all filmed at Bobby Mackey-S, calling it one of the most active haunted sites in the US. Some investigators swear the spirits there aren't just restless ghosts but demons. They believe the well is an entry point, a permanent scar on the land. Skeptics argue the stories are just folklore built up to attract tourists. But when people come out of Bobby Mackey's pale, shaken, claiming something followed them home, the line between myth and reality blurs, and if the hauntings are truly demonic, then Carl Lawson's Exorcism wasn't the end of it. It may have only been the beginning. What makes Bobby Mackey-S music world so infamous? ISNT just the ghost tours or the paranormal TV shows? It's the way legends and history blur together. Take Pearl Bryan's murder in 1896. This much is fact. She was found decapitated in Fort Thomas, Kentucky, and 2 men were convicted and executed for her death. But somewhere along the way, storytellers linked her to Bobby Mackey's basement. Even though no evidence places her there, the myth grew anyway. Guests say they hear a woman crying in the basement, or they see a headless figure moving in the shadows. Some believe Pearl is still searching for her missing head. Then there's Johanna, the dancer who supposedly poisoned herself in the 1940s after her father murdered her lover. Her story has no official record, but countless people have claimed to smell roses in the air, her favorite perfume, when no flowers are present. A few visitors say they've seen a woman in old-fashioned clothes wandering near the dressing rooms, her figure vanishing before their eyes. The slaughterhouse legend is another piece of the puzzle. Local lore claims that in the 1800s, the site was used as a slaughterhouse with a blood well that ran deep into the earth. Satanic cults allegedly used it later for rituals, summoning things that were never supposed to return. Paranormal teams often focus their investigations around that same well, believing it acts as a gateway for spirits, or something worse. Whether or not these legends have historical truth, doesn't matter to the people who experienced Bobby Mackey-S firsthand. For them, the fear is real. Some even say the sign at the entrance is the most telling piece of evidence. It warns all visitors. This establishment is haunted. Management is not responsible and cannot be held liable for any actions of any ghosts, spirits, on this premises. It's a disclaimer, a legal warning. A reminder that if you step inside Bobby Mackey's music world, you do so at your own risk. And for those who believe the stories, especially about Carl Lawson's possession, the real question isn't whether Bobby Mackey-S is haunted. The real question is, What's still waiting in that basement? Over the years, Bobby Mackey's music world has become a magnet for paranormal investigators. Some arrive skeptical, armed with cameras and recorders. Others come already convinced it's a gateway to hell. Almost everyone leaves with a story. On Ghost Adventures, investigators claim to capture voices in the basement, calling out names, even taunting them. At one point, crew members said they were scratched, leaving red welts on their backs. One investigator described feeling as if something had crawled inside him, echoing the same possession-like experiences Carl Lawson described decades earlier. Other paranormal teams have reported strange EVPs, electronic voice phenomena. Some sound like growls, others are clearer, like a woman begging for help, or a man shouting angrily. One group swears they caught a voice saying, "Get out." But what makes Bobby Mackey's different is the number of reports from ordinary visitors. Not ghost hunters, just people out for a night of music or a curious tour. They describe hearing voices in the bathrooms, seeing shadowy figures in mirrors, or feeling violently ill the moment they stepped into the basement. Then there are the stories of people who say something followed them home. They left Bobby Mackey-esque thinking it was just a spooky tour, only to experience knocking on their walls, footsteps in their hallways, or nightmares so real they woke up screaming. Some even claim scratches appeared on their skin days later, as if something invisible had traveled with them. This is why many call Bobby Mackey's more than just haunted. They call it dangerous. And it's also why the exorcism of Carl Lawson remains so famous. Because if the building can cling to one man for decades, tormenting him until his death, what's to stop it from doing the same to others? Even skeptics admit one thing: Bobby Mackey's is a place where stories don't die, whether they're legends, lies, or truth. Something inside those walls refuses to stay silent. Today, Bobby Mackey's music world is just as famous for its hauntings as it is for country music. Paranormal tourism has become a business, with ghost tours running regularly, letting visitors walk through the same basement where Carl Lawson lived out his nightmares. Wilder, Kentucky has embraced the reputation. People from across the US travel to experience the so-called most haunted nightclub in America, and whether skeptics roll their eyes or not, the stories keep spreading. Every TV special, every YouTube investigation, every whispered retelling keeps the legend alive. It's not just about scares, either. For believers, Bobby Mackey's is a cautionary tale, a place where trauma, murder, and human cruelty may have left permanent scars on the land. For others, it's proof that demons just lurk in abandoned churches or ancient ruins. They can live under neon lights and dance floors too. But the strangest part, Bobby Mackey himself, even after decades of stories, he still claims he doesn't believe in ghosts. He calls it all folklore, even though his own wife swears she was attacked, and dozens of employees left because of what they experienced. Some say Bobby's refusal to believe is his protection, as if acknowledging the darkness would invite it in. Meanwhile, investigators continue to chase proof. They set up cameras, recorders, meters, always searching for that one piece of undeniable evidence. And every so often they walk away with something chilling, a shadow caught on film, a scream no one heard in person, or scratches that weren't there before. The legends of Pearl, Brian, Johanna, Carl Lawson, and the portal to hell may never be proven, but the fear they inspire is very real, and in the world of hauntings, sometimes fear is proof enough. So what do we make of Bobby Mackey's music world? On the surface, it's just a honky-tonk bar. People drink, dance, listen to country music, and laugh with friends. But beneath the floorboards, in the basement where the old well still sits, there's a different story. One made of blood, shadows, and whispers that refuse to fade. Skeptics call it folklore, believers call it demonic. Either way, the fact that people still leave shaken, scratched, or terrified proves one thing: something about Bobby Mackey's is different, something lingers. Carl Lawson's exorcism didn't erase it. Pearl Brian's ghost, Johanna's perfume, the growls in the dark, they all continue to be reported decades later. Even with cameras and crowds, the nightclub feels like it's holding secrets just out of sight. And maybe that's why, above the door, the warning remains. A simple sign, almost playful, yet chilling when you think about it: this establishment is haunted. Management is not responsible and cannot be held liable for any actions of any ghosts, spirits on this premises. It's more than a legal disclaimer. It's a reminder, a message that what happens inside Bobby Mackey's is out of human hands. Whether you believe in demons or not, one thing is certain: if you go looking for them in Wilder, Kentucky, you might just find more than you bargained for. Or worse, they might follow you home.